Welcome, everybody. My name is Jean-Michel Moncion. I'm the director of the Robarts Center. We're happy to have you today with us for an event called Reconseal Inuksuiti, Reconciliation Through the Seal. It's a pleasure to have you join us this afternoon, an event organized by MISH, the Mobilizing Inuit Circumpolar Heritage Cluster of the Robarts Center, along with our co-sponsor, the Center for Indigenous Knowledges and Languages, and the Borealis Council. You'll see that we just turned on the live transcription. If you want to activate it, you'll find a button at the bottom of your screen, and you can activate either the subtitles or the full transcript option. We are also recording the lecture. I'll start by reading York's land acknowledgement. As we are not all gathered in the same space, we recognize that this land acknowledgement might not be for the territory that you are currently on. And we ask that if this is the case, you take the responsibility to acknowledge the traditional territory you are on and the current treaty holders. We recognize that many Indigenous nations have longstanding relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of the institution, and we acknowledge its presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. The area known as Toronto has been caretaken by the Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat. It's now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation, and this territory is subject to the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region. This land acknowledgement speaks well of the responsibilities of King society and of all of us towards reconciliation. And today's conversation will tell us a bit more about one way to do that. Without further ado, let me turn to my colleague, Anna Hudson from York, who will be introducing our speakers and moderate the discussion. Over to you, Anna.
Merci, Jean-Michel. I'm really happy to be here with my friends. And I want to just introduce each of you, and perhaps you could just say, well, maybe we'll leave that. I won't get you to introduce yourselves really. We'll just dig into the conversation. So we're here with Ruben Komangapik and his daughter, Aija Komangapik, and Yoanis Menge. And thank you, the three of you, for making time today to be with us all. I really appreciate it. Now, so this is the poster for the event that all of you will recognize. And I'm going to ask Ruben, first of all, to say something about the company, when the company formed, what the company's about. Tell us about when it happened, Ruben.
Yeah, unusakut ullumequvasuk tunga ilajunnaramataamaani sivullermi inuktitunillaramaatartunguoqauserigakkuk. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm happy to be part of this in this beautiful afternoon. I wanted to say that in my language first. Reconseal Inuksuiti has been my dream for the longest time, and I talked about it with Anna when I was working with Mitch all that time. I'm sure you remember everything, Anna. And Reconseal Inuksuiti was born last year on Reconciliation Day when Yoanis Menge, Eskimo friend, I'm going to just call him Eskimo friend. So when I say Eskimo friend, it's Yoanis Menge, because I'm Kinoptics and he's Kinoptics Eskimo friend. It's okay for you to say it. It's nothing negative or anything. Eskimo is a beautiful word. I prefer to be called that because Inuk is human being and all of you are Inuit to me. So we caught a seal. I was invited right after the COVID-19 by Eskimo friend, and we went seal hunting and we caught a seal and we ate it, and he's a professional photographer. He went to Ponalit with me a couple of years before that COVID hit, and he was helping me be a cameraman for York through Mitch. So yeah, so that's how it started. So we thought that combining the two cultures would would be a really great way to revise the sealing industry here in Canada, because the sealing industry is like the most riskiest thing to be in business with. So I hope that's a good introduction, Anna. Maybe we could have a Eskimo friend add to that.
That's what I was thinking. Over to you, Yoanis.
Hi, everybody. I'm Yoanis Menge from Magdalene Islands. Well, I can add a few things. Yeah, that day of reconciliation, we hunt our first seal together, and that idea of doing something with the Inuit urban communities. So we took that picture of us catching that seal, and I asked Ruben Komangapik how we gonna what's gonna be the title of that picture, and I don't know. And I was like, hey, it's Reconciliation Day. Maybe it could be reconcile, like because of that play of word with reconciliation and seal. That means in French we say fuck. So seal was yeah a funny word, but it came out like this with the word, and it became just a bunch of actions that brought us to build that company. And so it was more than just talking about reconciliation. It was really going in the action of doing it together. So so working together was our dream to in the seal industry. Me and Ruben, it make like 10 years we're talking about it since we met the first time. So yeah, we give the few calls to Inuit organization in Ottawa and Montreal to see what they think about our project, and if they would like to have some seal meat. And we just realized that it was a need, a real need to get access to that country food. So yeah, that's what I could add to it.
Could I say something funny? Too bad it's maybe we could have called it fucking seal.
Can you tell us about the word Inuksuiti?
Yeah, so we came up with that name at that first time, and we met an elder. I forget her name. She used to be the MP in Nunavut, and she advised us that since it's going to be an Inuit company, we should add a Inuk word into the name of the company. So Inuksuiti literally means for human consumption. So all the meat that we catch, we call it Inuksuiti. So therefore we added Inuksuiti.
I want to note that all three of you are artists as well as seal hunters and hunters. Yoanis, can you tell us about the images that I chose from all of the beautiful images that you've taken that are on the Reconseal Facebook page? Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, yeah, I'm a photographer since I'm a teenager. I'm doing that as a job, professional work since then, and I started working on seal hunting in 2012 when I met Ruben. When I met Kinoktoks, that was the first time I met him, and I started that.
You were allowed to go on the boat, remember?
And yeah, the first time I met Ruben, he said, "No, you're not coming with us," because I was really new in that hunting. So yeah, I start like this, taking pictures of the seal hunting and becoming myself a hunter. So it brought me in many hunting trip in Magdalene Islands and Newfoundlands and Nunavik and Nunavut. and etc. etc. And that's what became a hunter. So yeah, I love a lot both of those activities, hunting and taking picture. For me, taking picture is a little bit the same as hunting, so it's very close from each other, those activities. But but yeah, on the Reconceal Facebook page, it's more a picture we take on the like when we're hunting. So we're really busy when we're hunting. We don't have that much time to take pictures. So sometimes we take a selfie. Sometimes we take a quick picture with our cell phones. But I think that to come out with that idea, with that project of Reconseal Inuksuiti, we had to be artists because we have to think differently, and it's very for me and for Ruben, for Aija, I think it's the same thing. Like the way we're creating that project, we're creating that company, or that the whole thing that Reconceal is. It's for us, it's like a piece of art, more than just a business company, because we're putting all our feelings into it. Our heart is involved, and it's really something that came out from many years of talking about it. So it make 10 years we're talking about this, Ruben and me, and and yeah, after talking to everybody in the industry, in Newfoundland, here in the Magdalen Islands, in Nunavut, and people were not really realizing the importance of that project and where it can bring us, and we had to really think differently to come out with that, because everywhere in all hunting communities, they have their own culture of hunting, their own way to do it. In Magdalen Islands, it's really not the same way than in Newfoundland, and it's very different than in Nunavut. So the idea was to be open. We had to be open to each other, to our culture, to be able to do that, to mix stuff together, and to do something new. So Ruben had that opportunity in 2012 to come hunting with Magdalenos here, and that changed his way of seeing the hunt that we are doing. He can talk about it after, but for sure, like, it was a shock for him, and the same for me, going up north and seeing other stuff. For me, it was kind of cultural shock too, because I was used to see always the same way to do things too. So after that, after getting that cultural shock together, we were able to talk together and create something beautiful out of it. So the idea is not to do only the Inuit way or the Magdaleno way. It's a kind of I will say a Magdalenuk way. So we're mixing our our traditions and our techniques and our technology. I think it's the way to, well, that's what we talk together, me and Kinoktuks, like we are creating something, and to creating something new, we have to be very open-minded and have to be able to think out of the box. So, well, maybe Ruben, you can talk about that when you arrived here for the first time.
I'll show that one image maybe. I'm just going to remind audiences, Ruben is the artist behind Akizu that's on campus by the York Line Stadium. So just a beautiful work. But I want to go here for that reply to Yoanis's question, Ruben. And this is a still from a video that Ruben created as part of the Mobilizing Inuit Cultural Heritage Project, working with Carla Rice and her team, revision at the University of Guelph. So Ruben, over to you around that culture shock, what each of these sides represent.
It was really amazing period of time that I was living in the Gaspésie. That's like on the other side of New Brunswick. And there were planning on exploring the Baie de Chalar and the St. Laurent for oil exploration. So the community Gaskabigia, they got all the people around to show that we don't want to destroy this. There's a big resource there in the fisheries. And there was a guy that came to the community when they were doing talks, and Leonce is his name. He's quite the character. Really was like cool guy. So the elder at Gaskabigia called me up one day, and I went to his house, and they were saying they're doing a seal expedition, and that community hasn't gone seal hunting for 300 some odd years, and they were the ones that were showing the Magdalenos how to hunt seals. So that was a very special moment too. So it was funny. So I agreed to it, and then I was told you have to take a seal hunting course, and I'm like, that's really weird. I killed my first seal at 3 years old with a hammer, and I've caught them with gaffs. I've caught them with harpoons. I've caught them with rifles in the ocean, on the ice, you name it. And they're like, no, there's regulations that you have to follow. And at that time, I just played along. So I was there. I took the course, and now I even made a little film when I was working with Mitch. So there's that end of the little documentary I made. And so we went to the Magdalene Islands, and that's when I met Eskimo friend, and he looked really happy with the camera and so eager to get on the boat. And at that time, like usually I was very shy and didn't talk too much. So I talked to Quentin. He was Quentin Kondo. He was the leader of the expedition. At the time, his father was the chief of Gaskabigia. So I told Quentin, did he ever went seal hunting? And he asked him, and Eskimo friend said no. And I said, tell him he can't come. So that's how I met Eskimo friend. And then I went on the boat, and away we went with a big boat. It was my first time going sealing on a big boat in a commercial setting. So we were chugging along, and then sure enough, we see seal on the ice pan, and it got shot. We brought it on the boat, and then the way they did it, it was really shocking to me, because usually we kill the seal and let it die in peace, and then after that, then we finally open it up. But like learning that course, it prepared me for that shock actually. But actually seeing it, it was really like, oh my God, I hope that Sedna's not pissed off at me to be part of the situation. Like it's hit 2 times on the head and then opened really fast, and then a minute later it's all in pieces. So that was like, to me, that was a really baptismal situation for me, on the same animal I've been dealing with since I was a child. So yeah, so I could relate to Eskimo friend having that shock moment, because he had a few shock moments when we were up there too. And he became a Eskimo friend because I have a cousin son. He's my Kinuktuk, so we call each other Kinuktuk. Its meaning is when you stir a little pond, the water's not clear anymore. It's all foggy. So we're that kind of people. And then we were cutting it up, and Chris Hendershot was part of it. He was working with Mitch. And here we have these 2 people from the South in my territory, hunting our way and dealing with it our way and eating it right away. And they followed us. They ate with us. There was no hesitation. They ate every part we were eating. And that's how both these guys became Kinuktuk's Eskimo friend.
Because Eskimo means a raw meat eater. That's
yeah,
right.
from the Cree.
Yeah.
Aija, I wanted to ask you about the logo that you designed
Okay.
for the company. How hard was it to do?
Not particularly hard. I had a hard time because I kept trying to draw a natyak instead of a kasire, which is like the gray seal. And then my father eventually just had to send me screen grabs to be like, okay, this is what they look like. And I was like, oh, all right. They have a different skull shape. They have a different like way of positioning their body. So then I was like, well, what do you want? They're like, we want a hekapik, we want a spear, and we want it to be like, everything else was basically like up to me. And then I sent them one or two things, and immediately they were like, I want this one. And I was like, all right, perfect, let's do that. And so since then, that's the logo that I made, and I'm very happy with how it is, and I'm very happy with the work that I'm doing with my father and Eskimo Friends company, because I really believe in what they're doing. Like when my university was first closing down because of COVID and I was stuck inside for 6 months, it gave me like so much time to think. And I thought, well, what am I doing with my life? Do I actually like what I'm doing? Do I actually like what I'm learning? And I thought to myself, no, actually, I don't really like what I'm learning. And so eventually I had no purpose in the moment. So I called my father and I said, what should I do? And then I said, should I apprentice under you? And he said, sure. And with that one word, it completely changed my life. And I'm so happy with what I'm doing. I go sporadically, I go hunting with my old men. They drive me crazy and they sing songs in the car for hours on end.
Yeah.
And they're teaching me these things so annoyingly like old men, but I love them, so it's okay. And so I sit there and like really good memories are just the first seal I ever caught, which was I was in the boat with my father, and the whole time he went, I could have shot it. You should have shot it by now. Ah, you missed it again. You missed it. And the whole time I'm just sighing and going, okay, I'll try again. He's like, ah, you missed it. It went down. Hey, it's over there. And then finally I shot it and he's like, there, you see it? And I'm like, ah, yeah, I see. And then on the way home, I'm finally over it. And then they both start singing in their car their little songs again. I'm like, okay, these are the men I decided to spend my time with. So I'm good with it.
Had you gone seal hunting before then, Aija?
When I was a child, but when I moved down, it became like obviously like I never caught a seal before. I never really caught any big game, and a lot of the time I felt like I was kind of underdeveloped, you know, like my father just said the first seal he ever caught, he was 3 years old with a hammer. My first seal, I was 23, so I was like, finally, I feel like an adult, you know, like I'm doing something I feel like I should have done so long ago, but I kept putting it off to focus on all these other things like school and what people told me is the right thing to do. Get your education, do this, do that. And I know part of it was even that I didn't think that people would take me seriously if I didn't get an education, like the way that everyone is told nowadays to do it. And then when I'm working with my old men who I love so much, I realize, no, I don't. I can still get an education if I want, but it's not the end all be all. I can dedicate my life to being a hunter. I can dedicate myself to making my own tools and doing my own seal skins and making my art. So in apprenticing under both of them as both a hunter and as an artist is so gratifying. Like another thing that comes to mind is the person who showed me how to skin a seal was Eskimo Friend. Like when I thought I'd be learning how to do a skin out, in my head it was going to be this elderly Inuk woman who had all this, you know, like experience. And instead it's just like some 30-40-year-old guy with like blonde hair, blue eyes. And I was like, wow, I had expectations I didn't even know I had. And I was so grateful he taught me. So it was so funny that moment in my head. And I was like, but it shows that like knowledge doesn't just belong to like, it doesn't have to just belong to like this one group. And I don't need to cage myself in one way of thinking, you know, like even the way I'm hunting seals, like they were saying, I'm not hunting the Inuk way or the Magdaleno way. I'm learning this way, the way we're doing it. And so I think that it's in just since I started this, it's broadened all my horizons, and I'm very grateful for where I am right now.
That's really beautiful, Aya.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, Ruben, that you often said to me that, I put it this way, that Aya should get a diploma or a degree for what she's learning. And it's one of the shortcomings of colonial educational institutions is that they don't recognize or don't acknowledge or don't give a degree, because that would be useful to open other doors.
Yeah, I really hope in the future that the education system will recognize the way that we educate people, and hopefully we'll see that in the future. Anna?
Yes, something that I know I need to keep working on.
Yeah,
I could add,
Sorry.
not just in the education, like even in like we met DFO last time, and they take decision and really a lot on science, but who knows the environment where the seals are? Who knows the environment where the fish are? Like the scientific knows lots about the animal, about the fish, but they don't know about how they act, how they are in that environment. And fishermen and hunters are always in that environment and have lots of knowledge that even scientific cannot have because of that experience that hunters and fishermen have. So that will be really important one time that they start to consult people that live on the land.
yeah, I could add to that. In the 70s in Ponanlit, because I am from Ponanlit, Baffin Island, and there was the scientific group that went to Ponanlit, and they did not even consult the people there, and they went to a certain spot. They counted geese, and they did not talk to anybody. So a year later, there was a moratorium. But if they did talk to my brand of people, they would have been able to see where they are. And at that time, when if they went to where they went, when they're had like giving birth to the eggs, the whole land becomes like a moving snow. Like, but because they're scientists, they know more than everybody. They have a PhD. So we went down like from having a sustainable food resource every springtime to fall, it was wiped out. So I really truly agree with Eskimo friend that the powers that be should start listening to the hunters and the fishermen, no matter what the color they are, because they know their environment, and they should start consulting with them. I agree with this.
Even with the seal, it make 10 years, like the fishermen are saying there's a big problem, like there's too much seals and they eat all the fish. It make 10 years that the sealers are saying it really loud, like we have to do something with that. And now 10 years later, oh, DFO start to say, oh, finally, after scientific studies, we can say that the seal eat fish. Wow, like
That was
the seal
hilarious.
eat fish.
Yeah,
Wow. Like,
yeah,
oh, there's a problem now.
yeah.
Too much seal. Like that's what is not working. Like it make 10 years. It's too late now. It's too late.
Right, and I can imagine how many fish one adult seal eats per day. Yeah.
Well, there's they count around 8 million harp seal in the ocean, and there's around 500,000 of gray seals in the St. Lawrence Gulf. In the 70s, there were around 8,000 of those seals. So it's crazy, like.
So a very sustainable food source, in other words. Yeah.
Yeah, and one
Excellent.
seal, one adult seal can eat about 2 tons of fish per year. So you can imagine that the seals are eating way more than what is caught by fishermen. It's like crazy.
Wow.
But
To that end,
I'd
yeah.
like to add that we should never demonize any kind of animals, just like this. And now we're at 2023, and now we have this opportunity, and we are so lucky that we started Reconseal Inuksuiti, and now we have a really sustainable food resource for the rest of the country. We need to really educate the rest of the country how beautiful and nutritious this animal is, because of we should stop listening to brainwash. Those other people have been doing it the wrong way. I love the seal. I never demonize it. I'm just saying that, and I think if Reconceal Inuksuiti is able to feed Inuit this seal that is completely foreign to them and really enjoy it, because us, we're very, very picky people in what we eat and who catches it, what kind of animal it is. So therefore, if we're able to convince the Inuit communities in the inner cities that this is a really good food resource, I think the rest of Canada can follow. I mean, that's just a little thing I'd like to add to that.
Thank you, Ruben. And just for the audience, I'm just glancing over this example of a very early carving that was in the collection of Pat Feely at Feely Fine Arts, and one piece that didn't sell, but it's full of Inuit knowledge in terms of how you go about carving the seal. Another instance of art meets hunting. I wonder if I could just ask you one more thing, Ruben, on that note, around there's regulations on not everybody can hunt for seal in the north, like in your home community, right? Because it's expensive. But at the same time, your endeavor with Reconseal, you're hunting in the Magdalen Islands, where there's lots of seal. You don't want to see food from the north coming down south for consumption. And you talked about that before in terms of food insecurity in the north.
Yes, I find that really, really important to me because I am from up there. I've lived it. It's like destituted people down here were able to see them. They're on the streets, but in the north, you're not going to see them. Yes, they have housing, but you're not going to see them hungry. It's like catch-22. They have a house, they're okay. Actually, it's not. The cost of living is so extremely huge, and by the way I think of taking the animals, because we are living from outside it and it has to be flown here. To me, yeah, I mean, I'd love to eat this stuff, but the idea of a seal that we are dealing with in the St. Laurent, even if it's a different species, like if a hunter catches it, I'd rather see that maybe bought by the community, however they deal with it, and stay in the community or just share it. So I really, and hopefully in the future, Reconceal Inuksuiti will have the means to help with the food insecurity, not just in the inner cities, but plus up there. This is kind of one of my big goals, my personal goals. I don't know if I'll see it, but that's one of the big things, because there's a lot of food insecurity all around, even Canada now. So even everybody that lives here, because it's all about reconciliation. So if Yoanis and I were able to reconciliate how we hunt seals, this is really what we're doing. We're a living proof of this, not just talking about, oh, we're going to reconciliate and throw money at it. And by the way, we started reconciliation by our own means. We never got grants or anything. It's from our art that got us to we are today. We started off with pretty much Eskimo French equipment in the beginning. And now I can proudly say that we have all the equipment we have now is by us. And I'm really, really proud that the Inuit are receiving our meat in a really positive way.
Yeah, positive way, because it brings a lot in the identity, the cultural aspects, traditional aspects, the link with the where you're from and what is good for you. Like when we talk about healthy food, it's healthy food for lots of things, not just for the body, but for the mind, for the spirit, and everything.
Can you tell us about this image, Aija, and what you were doing?
Me and my father were manning the booth for Isabui and Reconceal. We were separating it also with the fur people. They were selling furs right next to us. And basically we were just giving out information about both Isabui and Reconceal. And I really like Isabui because they helped me quite a lot in all that I've been learning. Aside from just like seal hunting, I have a lot of free time in the city. So what Isabui does is they teach things like sewing and carving, and also like tool production. So when I have some free time and I'm in the office after I work, I learn how to make little things like this, which is a seal scraper, which I made in the building.
I'm going to make it bigger.
And
There we
okay.
go.
So I used this to scrape my father's seal skin, which took me like 2 days and it ruined my shoulder. But I'm very happy I did that. And then I also made my future sealing knife and the case for it. So these are all really important skills that I feel like I'm learning along with seal hunting. So making my own tools, maintaining my own tools, learning all the skills that go along with it. Like also just if I have it, like learning how to sew like crafts along with it. So this is a backpack that I made at the center too. So like I said, with the seal hunting, it's like art and hunting go hand in hand. Like in my life, it's almost the exact same thing where everything goes together. So I'm very happy with what Isabui does, and I'm happy that Reconseal Inuksuiti also provides them with meat a lot of the time. So it becomes a really good marriage in my life, at least.
And I'm just going to say for our audience that Isaruit, ISARUIT, is a charitable organization in Ottawa that focuses on Inuit cultural practices. Is that a fair way to describe it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that, Ruben, you were saying to me earlier that every Friday, Reconceal provides seal meat for anyone in Ottawa who can come to Isaruit and have a feast. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It's usually every Friday we have a drop-in at lunchtime, and they provide seal meat and also other country food, but they do provide Reconseal Inuksuiti seal. And they also use the seal skins to educate people on how to manipulate it. So my daughter showed you guys what tools they make. So everything to do with dealing with it, it's really a special place.
I was thinking too, Ruben, about what you said of perhaps in the future sending meat north, maybe similarly with the skins, because what I was understanding is that a lot of the skins that people in communities in they're commercially tanned, but I guess at Isaruit you're not learning commercial tanning, you're learning traditional tanning methods and manipulation methods. And I'm sure community members would love to have those skins instead.
Yeah, it's a really empowering thing for people who don't know. Like, I'm really fortunate I was born in the North because I'm really solid of who I am today. And there's a lot of Inuit that are born outside of that realm of what I've seen. And they're like confused of who they are. So once they start learning all this stuff, like you heard my daughter going seal hunting and all this, that really empowered her and show her who she really is in a very different way, but it's still doing the same activities as we do in the North. And it's really, really special. Yeah, I don't know how much more I could say to this.
I know I'm asking you all to talk a lot about something that's really coming from your hearts, and so I'm conscious of respecting your energy levels and time. But I do have a couple more questions, and then I think maybe we'll address some questions from the audience. But where do you see Reconceal going in the future? I mean, every week you're delivering food to people. What's the next step along the way, do you think?
I'll start, Eskimo friend, you don't mind?
Yeah, go.
So right before this meeting, I'm stuck here in Ottawa. I had a shoulder injury. I'm gonna get that fixed. I was supposed to be hunting with Eskimo friend, but right before he joined us, he went to the place where we ship the seals. So he sent some seal skins and meat. So in the future, we once we are like regulated to start bringing other Inuit, not just our families and the people in the Magdalene Island, because we have people there that participate with us. So it's really like merging of two cultures for the same animal. It's really beautiful. And what I love about what we're doing is we're not in a box. Like, we both have knowledges. Both cultures have knowledges. Imagine if another culture came in, how brighter it would become. But at this point of time, it's just me, my brand of people, and Eskimo French brand of people. I don't like to say mine. I like to use brand. So in the future, I really love that the seal would be seen in the most loving way, instead of all this negativity that I was born into. When I was a young man, not even a young man, when I was a child, I was able to help with my family financially by catching seals. Like, every seal skin was used to provide the household. And in that time, I saw in every house had a seal skins hanging outside drying, and every family was like king and queen. Honestly, they were like king and queen of their domain. Nobody could control them and anything. But once it got demonized, you saw kings and queens become pretty much beggars too. So me saying this, I would love to see that happen again, that it's not demonized anymore. Our country, especially in Canada, there's no borders, so therefore we should all come together as Canadians and really realize that it's not a negative thing, it's a positive thing, and it's a really sustainable resource that we have here in Canada. And instead of always focusing on the outside countries where there's borders, or when that country's not happy with us, they're able to close it. I'd love for the whole country to see seal meat in, like, let's say IGA, Metro, anywhere, like restaurants. That's what I'd love to see in the future, Anna.
Thank you, Ruben. Yoanis.
We start that project. It was really new, that way of working with the seal, and together Magdaleno and Inuit people together. that's something like very, very different, that when we go see people to talk about it, like people are like, oh yeah, okay, interesting, but people don't know in which box it goes, you know. Like we go to Canadian Food Agency to have informations, and they are like, oh yeah, I don't know where. It's very nice, your project is beautiful, but in which box is it fitting, you know? So we have kind of work to do to always explain what we're doing, and try to find that way to, but because it's new, it's all to be done, so it's lots of work right now, but I don't know, there's something that push us to do it because of that new idea we're having, and in the industry right now we're kind of a joker in the game, you know, because we're totally different than everything else in the sealing industry, and it's, for me, it's the same goal. And when I start with photography, like I start photographing seal hunting because I thought there was something to say, to show that it was not shown at that moment. We saw lots of pictures made by anti-sealing groups, but it was always the same thing, always blood, red blood on white ice, and very like picture that tried to demonize those sealers, and I thought, coming from that community that hunt seal, there's something to do, and I start taking picture in black and white to show a different way of that activity. So without having those shocking color for people that are not used to it, it was possible to publish it worldwide. So that project to have been published in Europe and United States and Canada and Japan, name it. So it's very interesting to play with that image, and to understand how it works, how that image works. And for example, if I show color picture to Inuit people, they will, of hunting, they will like, oh, I'm getting hungry. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, look at that blood. Oh, I'm hungry. And if you show that to Westerner people that live in the city and never been out hunting, it will be like, oh my God, that's so disgusting. It's just like a way of seeing things from where we are from. So Reconceal, the way we're building it and we're moving forward with it, it's kind of something like that. We're changing the image of hunting and of hunters, and it goes like very, very wide. We were just seeing the sealing part first, the feeding part, like feeding people, and now it becomes like very big where we're going with that, and every different place where it can change things and make people think, and that's what we love with that, and we never have any bad comment on what we're doing, and that's very beautiful because we never point finger to other people, how they do or how they think. Oh, you're a vegetarian, you don't eat meat. That's okay. You're allowed to be vegetarian. I'm not. Who am I to judge that? But I'm a hunter. I live with seal. I love the seals, and I love them so much that I'm eating them. So that's where I'm from, and that's very interesting to work that in that positive way. We always want to be positive in our approach, and I think that it really can move things and make people think different. Like that's what we're trying to do with art, all of us, and now the way we're working with the hunting and feeding, and it goes everywhere. Like we're making a very beautiful art piece right now.
Yeah, I'd like to add that when we first started the Facebook page, Eskimo friend was kind of nervous to put color, and I was like, "No, we have to show color." So from then on, we did color, right, Eskimo friend?
Yeah, of course.
And
Well,
yeah,
it changed us too, to work
mm,
in that. Like
yeah,
it changed the people understanding
uh,
around us. But
it went,
us, we are changing in through that project, and that's what is really beautiful. Like we're learning from each other, we're growing together. Like we go through lots of bumps in our activities, and like it's
yeah.
normal. We're human beings, and we're very emotional, because people that deal with seal are very emotional people. Like on both sides, like hunters are into sealing people. Like it get to emotion when we touch to killing animals, to feeding people. It's something very very powerful. And so yeah, we're learning a lot from each
Yeah,
other, and what is really beautiful that project.
yeah, it's really great that we're not hiding anything. What we're doing it, we're showing the world. Look at what we're doing. We're not hiding anything. This is what we're doing, and thank you for everybody's support that really are following us, and hopefully someday they will be able to go to a restaurant and order Reconseal Inuksuiti seal meat.
I can't wait personally.
We have
I
lots
that,
of ideas, like cooks. Like it's just a beginning. Like we see
Yeah,
that project really big in the future.
and the beautiful thing about the gray seal is we can manipulate it like any other meat. So just a couple weeks ago, my daughter and I made fuck pie. And there was an elder, I brought it to Isahoit, and I was saying, "Hey, anybody want fucking pie?" And then she came to me and said, "You can't say fuck." And I said, I told her it's seal in French. So she's like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." So we made maybe Aya, you could tell where we got the recipe.
Yeah. Well, it's because I had a whole bunch of like ground meat. I made it with my father at his place, and then I thought, what am I gonna do with this ground meat? I don't know what to do with ground meat. And then I called my friend, and she's Mennonite, and so her family is German Mennonites, and she's like, "Oh, you should make a pie." So she's teaching me how to do a pie, and my father tells me you have to boil the meat. So when you boil the meat, you're able to make it so it has less like of a sealy taste. It just tastes like normal meat. And then she was like, "Oh, here's this and that," and she was teaching me how to make crust. And then I made it, and then I brought it to my father, and he saw like the lightning. I made it, and he was like, "We have to make more of these." And so we started making so many more, and and it was like a whole day process. I set his oven on fire for a minute. and and then but the rest of them were fine. I got too excited about all the butter. And so it was like Mennonite recipe, Inuit ingredients, and it tasted really good, and everyone seems to really like it. And I don't really remember the question you asked, Anna, anymore. Like,
do you, what you've just said is really it just expands the impact of reconciliation and our appreciation of
yeah.
um
Sorry.
of how
So
yeah, go ahead.
okay. And so I also wanted to go off of what Yoanis was saying, because I actually had a moment between me and my friend, which was I didn't realize how she would see what I was seeing, because I had a photo of me and my father. We were cutting up a seal on the floor, and he asked me to hold the ribs while he was doing something. And so his woman comes over, she takes a photo, we're both smiling. And I think it's a really good photo, so I sent it to my friend. And she goes, "Ugh." And that's the first thing she sends. And I thought it was to make fun of the way I look, because that's how we joke around, like, you look awful. And I'm like, "Hey, I think I look really good." And she's like, "No, it's so much blood and all this stuff." And I was looking at it, and I was thinking, this is a delicious meal. I'm so excited to show my friend. And then what she was seeing was oh my God, it's a carcass. And I was like, oh. So and that was the first time I ever was like, no matter how much someone likes me, we're going to have different perspectives on things. So I had to ask her opinion before. Can I show you this? Yes. And slowly I'm noticing that she's not as scared, I guess. Whenever I send her something, she knows what it is. And even I showed her that photo, which I really like, of me pulling that seal in when I got it, and she actually said, wow, you look really good. And I was like, yeah, I wish I could put it on Tinder, you know. It's a really good photo. But
It's a beautiful photo.
yeah, and I really like it because the story of that was me and Eskimo friend, we walked really far, and the rest of the team, they were going after another seal, and he shot it. And we were going, yay, yay, yay. But because of the big wind, they couldn't hear us. So I turned to him and I go, how cold is the water? And he looks at the water, he says, why don't you find out? So I throw off all my clothing, I jump in with the gaff, and I swim after, and I'm like, it's actually really cold. And then I grabbed it and I pulled it to shore. And then my father says, wow, look at my daughter. She's so brave. She's not even afraid of the sharks. And I'll be honest now, Tata, I didn't know there was sharks, so I was really brave. And I thought that was a joke. And then later on, we see a dead seal on the beach, and it's got these like big bite marks like pulled out from it from sharks. And I went, I don't know if I'd be that brave if I knew that ahead of time. So then I looked at it and I'm like, well, I'll still do it, but now I'm more cautious, you know. And so I think that's a precious photo, and it's a precious memory with my father and my uncle figure, I guess. And I'm very happy they have the go ahead with this group, because I get to sit here and I get to make jokes and I get to be like, sharks, you know, and they get to have to worry about all the big stuff. So that's where I am.
Yeah, she's learning all kinds of really rude songs. We should not sing it.
Well,
So,
that's the way we're keeping our positive.
Well, it's very hard work too, right? It's a really hard work.
Oh yeah.
it's really hard putting up with them. Yeah.
Having to listen to all our songs and
Oh my God. What was that one again? Feller, Neller, Meller, Feller. For like 3 full hours, no stopping.
We have to censor the other one, so just stick with that one, okay, Aija?
Okay. That one was so long. You guys didn't give it up for weeks.
yeah. Anna, I sent some picture of our activities. If you, I don't know if you got it, but it could be interesting to show it.
Let me see.
I sent it by email by WeTransfer.
Oh, okay. Perhaps while I'm searching for it, I can get you to say some last things about.
Okay, I'd like to start. I'm really, really happy that we are born in this time of age, because we're able to use social media as to educating people. So hearing Eskimo friend and my daughter about the reactions, to me, I wanted it to be like color all the way, because like once we first see something, like I did with when I was at the commercial seal hunt, now I've seen it, now I'm able to deal with it. So it's really like Reconseal Inuksuiti Facebook page is like a really great tool that we are utilizing to educate the rest of the world in what we're doing, and desensitizing the images in a beautiful way. So I'd like to just say that last thing.
I'm just opening it up, Yoanis.
Yeah.
Eskimo friend. Sweetie, sweet.
And it's great you told us that story, Aija, because I was wondering about what it's like with friends, your generation of folks.
But
Well,
yeah,
they're
you
trying
were.
to be more huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think the younger generation, they're trying to be more understanding, because there was even a lot of propaganda in our generation, but there's people trying to make an effort to think outside of what they were told, which I think is really good. Like, even though some of my friends, they're not super excited about the photos they'll see, they're not going to think poorly of me just because I go outside of their realm of comfort, which I really appreciate, because we can have different opinions on how the world should work, and we can still have a good relationship, which I think is what I enjoy about my friends.
There's something we're doing, I think, very great with Reconceal is we're constructing like lots of cliche that we have of the seal hunt and the way we're doing it. And even Aija hunting with us, we have a woman that hunt, like usually people have that idea that seal hunting is a man thing, and for us there's no woman thing or man thing. We're just doing it together. Like on the island I'm from, women are not hunting that much. There's few one, but not that much. But it's really traditionally a man thing, going hunting, and all the activities that are around the hunt, even the seal tanning, the seal cleaning was done by men. When I've been in Nunavut, I saw that it was a kind of a woman job more, cleaning the skins, and people were laughing at me because I wanted to learn, how to clean a seal skin. And some people were like, "Oh, you're not a woman? Are you a woman?" or something. But I was like, well, where I'm from, men are doing that job, and I need to do it when I go back in my place. So that's something like, it was funny to me, a white guy teaching Aija how to clean a seal skin. That's kind of funny.
So I'm kind of imperfectly sharing what you've shared with me now, Yoanis. But perhaps I'm not entirely sure how I can do this better. Wait a minute, if I go, oh no, that's going to distort it.
Can you full screen it?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
But just again.
It's pictures of the hunting and the seal skin cleaning. And
let me go back this way. Okay, I'll go through slowly. So that's your signature image there with the two of you.
Yeah, that was the one that opened Reconseal Inuksuiti. Can you see the blood in our faces?
Yes,
It's not in color.
Can you put them in full screen? If you open,
maybe double click it.
Do you have a Mac?
Yeah.
You can all select them all.
Oh, sorry. Let me go back. I'll just put it like that so you don't have to see me fumble.
Yeah. And if you just press the backspace bar, you can just open them full screen.
I'm having a great time, guys. This is fun.
Me also. I got to show off my knife.
It's like we're hunting seals without hunting seals, kind of.
Okay.
I should not sing a song, eh?
You meant backspace then, Yoanis. Which one?
Yeah. The long bar, like the space bar.
I got it. All right. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Back to share screen.
All right.
Sorry.
I think we have a #1 song called Be Careful Monkeypox.
Oh my God.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Is that working?
Ah, there's his son.
That's my son. Yeah. Yeah, that's really fun to bring our family hunting too and get all that experience with us. Like my two sons are participating in all the different actions: seal cleaning, tanning, drying, butchering, hunting. Like it's very great to have them putting their hands in that and that
Learning. Yeah.
that learning.
And
But
I should know that those are the traditional drying frames that you're using.
well, there is it traditional? Like,
Yeah, it is. It's traditional. Like it's one method that we did. We also stake it on the ground
yeah,
or put it on a plywood, but that's the classic way.
yeah.
So this is Maxim. He's from the Magdalene Island. He's learning how to do tanning too. Eskimo friend, maybe you could say a little bit about him.
Maxim, he came with us last year, the first time. He never been hunting before, and one time he called me and he said, I would like to go hunting with you. So I say, okay, I'm going tomorrow. So I brought him and another another young guy. We went hunting by foot with no machines, nothing on the base. So we walked like around, I don't know, 60 kilometers in the day with the sled and pulling all the stuff. They were like so exhausted after the day, but it was a first big experience for them, but they really loved it, and they like lots of young people I bring that never hunt before. They call me back and want to go back with me or and continue that experience, but it's not everybody that is like that really want to do it. So when there's somebody that calls me and say, hey, I would like to come with you guys, I'm like, yeah, well, I'll open my door, like, of course, like I want to share that knowledge and experience with others. So that's really great to share that. And Maxim, he start to work with Ecofond Boreal. It's a project with a college in Quebec that do research into a tannery. So they right now they have a big project with sealskin to be able to tan the sealskins with the best method with only natural product. So no chemicals, no, because like commercial tanning, it's really but it's using chemical product, and for example on Magdalene Islands it's so fragile, the environment, it's so small. If there's a something happening with the water, with the drinking water, it will be very it could be like a big catastrophe. So we have to be very careful with that fragile environment here in Magdalene Islands. So that idea of having a tannery that will use only natural product was very interesting for the island. So Maxim, he's been there to learn how to work with those machine product and probably come back next year to start building a tannery here. So a small tannery that could do a small quantity every year, but enough to make people living on the island. So it's very interesting. And this winter he came hunting with me again, and before he left Magdalene Islands, he tanned more than 80 sealskin in 2 weeks. So he became a real pro. And all by traditional tanning, cleaning, like with the ulu and like Yeah.
How much does that seal weigh that he's holding?
Oh, maybe 150 pounds. All that 120. This one is more like 600-700 pounds. 700.
Yeah, Aya's first seal.
Oh, wow.
Yay.
The pictures are really pixelized. I don't know why, but
Oh, I'm
is it
sorry.
normal?
They look great for me. Sorry.
Okay. What I see is really pixelized.
I'm
It
sorry.
might be the webinar.
Maybe.
Perhaps we could we can find a way to share them.
Well, that one's good.
So that was your first skin, Aya, I think.
Yeah, one of my first ones.
With Maxim that came to do that too.
That's the hard work. Getting rid of the blubber. What do you do with the blubber?
Well, for now, we didn't really have a product for the blubber. We freeze sometimes and give it for people that want to use it for the hulik, the oil lamp, or we make some oil sometime. But usually there's lots that stay on the meat too. So the rest of the blubber we have is not really used for now, but we have ideas and project for it. We make some big fire sometimes.
We bought a really big pot the other time, and
Yeah.
we're gonna start rendering it. So that's a next little add to Reconceal the next time around.
Yeah, well, the idea is to use the whole seal, and that's what we do. Sometimes there's some blubber that rests. It's not that much, but yeah, we want to make oil out of it for sure.
When you render it, get rid of the fishy taste or the fishy smell?
Yeah, it becomes like vegetable oil pretty much, and
Yeah.
it stops it from becoming like when it's raw, it goes bad really fast because it's like anything from the sea, it's like that, like fish. But when you render it and bottle it, it could stay for a year. Yeah, you could use it for cooking, oil lamps, you name it.
Yeah, you use it for cooking, and when it's getting old, you use it for the lamp.
Yeah.
It's never lost. Like
Eskimo friend
Really?
braided hair and he got a haircut.
Are those intestines?
Yeah, that's intestine.
Yeah, traditionally done because we are offering intestine as a food product.
That's
So
something very new for us on the island, because people from here never ate the intestine of the seal. So like lots of people seeing us doing that, they are kind of shocked, like, oh, what, you're eating that, like very curious, or very find us very weird doing it. But at the same time, like, it's good because it educate them that you can eat it and it's really good. And
yeah, like the fuck pie, it's Eskimo macaroni.
Yeah, so you're not using the intestines for sausage casings, you're right? You're how do you prepare that to eat the intestine?
You just cut it up and put it in the pot, put
Okay.
chicken broth, and then just boil it up. You could even fry it up like they do in Mexico. Also, you could slice it up, fry it up. So, or you could even eat it frozen.
Yeah.
Or dry it. All kinds of ways, Anna. But maybe in the future we will use some of it for sausage casing. Let's see. We're always open-minded. Reconceal Inuksuiti.
Oh yeah, we like to develop new things, new ideas. I have well, there's a friend of us that come a lot hunting with us, Jacques Leblanc, and he's a really good cook, and he have always really great ideas of what doing with the things that we never like explored really. So for example, with the intestine, he brought up a very fancy dish with tomato sauce and like kind of very fancy macaroni out of it, and it was really, really good. Like there's a lot to do and develop with food. But it's funny, like that there's lots of things that people are not used to eat here, and it's really interesting to see how people open to that, like to eat some seal even raw. The hunter we bring, like all the young hunters from Magdalene Islands, they tried it, like, and they really enjoyed it, like eating eyeballs or raw liver, or for it's different here. Like it's not in the culture, but it's something that it slowly change.
Yeah, just like the vice versa for Inuit, like making curried seal, spaghetti, pizza, pies. So it's really going both ways. It's really amazing how things are going.
Yeah. Well, a funny story is that the first time I've been hunting in the north for seal, I was with Inuit friends, and one of the guy there was kind of, like what that white guy do with us? Is he a hunter? And asking question, and he came to see me, and he was kind of like not looking so happy that I'm there, and he said, "Oh, you're a photographer?" I say, "Yeah." He said, "I'm gonna give you something that gonna help you to see better." So he gave me the raw eyeball, and I just took it and cut it and eat it in front of him, and he looked at me. He was like, "What?" Like very surprised. He said, "Oh yeah, um, okay, I'm gonna give you something to think better." So he took some of the brain and give it to me, and I eat it, and I look at him and I say, "Oh, I guess I should eat some heart now, eh?" And he took me in the eye, and he gave me like lots of seal to bring back, and it was really funny. Well, it's a very like funny story like that, but it really worked. Like having that experience, having that cultural exchange really opened my eyes, my mind, and my heart, and I'm really grateful for that. So that's why I really enjoy doing it right now.
Aya, is that a liver you're holding?
That's the heart.
Oh, it's a heart.
Yep. Eskimo friend was showing me how to open up a seal, and I didn't realize that these seals are so goddamn big. Like the ones up north, they're like I'd say 1/3 or 1/4 the size. So you can see I'm really struggling with my little short legs, like trying to stand over it. And they kept saying, "Oh, it's your back that's gonna hurt," and I'm like, "No, it's my legs. I have to learn gymnastics to be able to cut these open in the future."
It's big like a birded seal, around that, eh?
Yeah,
It was
they
as tall as me. Like, yeah.
I don't
And
see
that's
any
the
shark fins in the back, Aya.
but there
no,
are
not that one.
great white
But there,
sharks in that water, Anna.
so yeah. So I was like, "Oh, I'm so brave." No, I just didn't know.
Did I miss some, Yoanis? I think I did.
No, well, I don't know. I just
Looks
a few
looks
pictures.
like you did all the photos, Anna.
I think so.
Yeah, and I wondered, the hakapik and the spear, right, are the two instruments you're using along with the rifle?
At those activities, we haven't used the harpoon yet, but
Okay.
we've been using the hakapik, gaff hook, also rifles, and I don't know what you call that thing that's like a hook, like fishing hook, but really huge.
Right.
Kiviyongnuti. I don't know the name in English.
The one with the
I'm
rope?
just-
Yeah, what do you call this again?
The one with the rope?
Yeah, it looks like a fishing hook.
I don't know how to call
Kiviyongnuti.
I
So,
even don't know in French what it is.
Nixik Kiviyongnuti Kokyuti ang mahakapik. Atok pagtabo.
I just called it the hook.
The hook. So that is fantastic set of images. Thank you for that, Yoanis. That was really helpful and really interesting. I don't know. I see. I'm looking at the chat. There doesn't seem to be too many questions really. One was asking about the film Angry Inuk, and if you had thoughts about that film and in changing that attitude towards sealing and hunting.
I never watched it. I refuse to watch it. Traditionally Inuit are not angry, so just the name of it. I don't want anything to do with it. That's
Okay.
my perspective. The way I see sealing industry, like I said, it should never be demonized. So therefore, I got no comment about Angry Inuk. I refuse to watch it. A lot of people go, "Hey, Ruben, you do documentaries. Why don't you get fired?" And I still refuse to watch it because of the negative content of just the word Angry Inuk. Because we are taught not to be angry. If we want to communicate something, we do it with our hearts. So that's my take on that. But everybody else is free to do as they please. Like I have no negative of people watch it, you know. That's just me.
Got it. A couple of questions, if you don't mind, as we're just heading towards 3 o'clock. One question asking if you would consider a learning program or short course for Inuit who haven't had opportunities and want to learn these skills. And do you provide sealskins for artists to purchase? Can people order food from you or skins?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna need to hire someone to deal with all this because it becomes like we're dealing with everything. We're hunting it to delivering it. So even sometimes you guys saw that we clean the skins too. So yeah, anything's possible. You think, Eskimo friend? Just doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, of course.
And maybe non-Inuit too, right? To teach non-Inuit as well.
Oh, that's
Like-
what we do. Like people from Magdalene Islands are coming hunting with us, with the other Inuit, and that's really great. We're doing it.
There was another question around how you hunt up north, Ruben, and then what you would do to let the animal rest, and what that is about.
Well, pretty much from being alive to dead, we let them be. We let them die in peace. That's how we were taught in the north. So it's a whole different thing when you do the commercial seal hunt, because the commercial seal hunt, the reason why it's run that way is because there's so many people that come from all kinds of backgrounds. So I really think that is why they developed the 3-step program. So if a guy that never hunted seal, aside from us Inuit that deal with it since God knows what time. So the way they do it in the commercial setting is that you have to either shoot it twice in the cranium or crush it with a with a club or a hakapick 2 times, and even the tools that you use is regulated. And then once you crush both the craniums, you turn it around and open it right away and bleed it to ensure that it's completely dead. So I realized that it's really important that they keep doing this, because the seal will never suffer from coming from outside world to going into the sealing industry. So in the north, we do it differently, because we've been doing it since time immemorial. So that's how we do it in the north. We give the animal time to rest, to die, because we know what we're doing.
We were talking before about science and people that are on the land and deal with the animals. That's a good example of how science brought up some rules and some regulations that are not in the tradition of our place. For example, in Magdalene Islands, the hakapick is not a traditional tool. We never used that before. It just came with those regulations, and the hakapick is a Norwegian tool, and it have been brought from Norwegian to here to satisfy the pressure of the anti-sealing groups that were saying that the seal hunting was something not human, and that the seal was suffering. But every animal you kill in the wood or whatever, like every hunting, have a part of risk to miss your target if you shoot it. So you can hurt the animal, you can kill it right away. It depends, but it's the way we're dealing with that animal, with hunting, and it's a part of hunting. It's a part of, I mean, even in nature, like animals are making suffering other animals. Like a cat that catch a mouse will bring it to her babies, that they learn how to hunt. So the cat will bring a little mouse to teach the little cat how to hunt, and they were gonna play with the mouse for an hour and make it suffer and cut it and after eat it. And that's how it goes in the nature. And now it's like if humans are not part of the nature anymore, and we're for the hunters, for the people that live on the land, we consider ourselves like as other predators and like other animals. But the way people see it now, it's more like, we're not in part of the nature anymore. We're something different than the nature. So that pressure of anti-sealing group brought up those regulations. That's three-step program, and it have two sides. That program, yeah, of course, the animal is really dead and will not suffer because you kill it really quick. Okay, but in the same time, it gives a very bad image of the hunt. It's like very aggressive how we have to do it. We have to overkill it 3 times, like shoot it, crush the brain, open it, bleed it, and all this to kill it 3 times. Like it's very, very special.
Well, like I was saying, I think it's really great that the Canadian government took the initiative to come up with regulations, because a lot of people would like to go hunt other animals and they have never encountered the seal, anything from the ocean. So by having this regulation, I think it's really important that it's kept for people that are not from a hunting group. So to me, I find it really nice that it's there for them to ensure that this animal is dealt properly. But for us, we've been dealing it so long. It's like Eskimo friend said, we're part of nature. So that's, I just wanted to add to that.
Well, like I would add to that, Kinoptux, if you don't mind, that people that live on the island, since there's people on Magdalene Islands, there's seal hunting. So the Mi'kmaq were hunting first here, and after the Magdaleno learned it from the Mi'kmaq here to survive. And it make maybe 300 years that people hunt here. So how much long it have to be that you part of the nature to be part of the nature, like
I'm talking about people from outside the hunting cultures, Eskimo friend.
yeah.
Let's say someone who only hunted deers, all right? They know how to deal with a deer. They shoot it, they know it's dead. But a seal, if you shoot it, they don't know where the heart is. They don't know where anything is. So they might like, it looks dead, and then they start cutting it up. Oh my God, it's alive. So
But they cannot, with the regulation, people that are not from the island, that have not an address on the island, is not allowed to hunt seal. You need to be a resident of the island to have a license for seal hunting.
Like anybody can become a seal hunter. You could take the course to hunt seals. So I find that if somebody that doesn't come from hunting culture like the Magdalenos and Inuit, I find that those regulations are really good. That's what I was trying to say. And hopefully someday that Reconseal Inuksuiti could hunt them as the way we do in the north, because it's an Inuit company. And anybody, let's say maybe we'll be able to change the laws for the people that have been dealing with the seals for whatever time it has been, because it's part of their culture now. So it's always like a iffy little thing, you know.
For me, I think it was a good first step because I had no idea what I was doing. So having at least some guidelines was very good for me. Like I had my teachers with me, and you guys were teaching me the ways it's separate. Like my doctor was telling me this is how we would do it, but then we did it by the 3-step program to go with the regulations. And I was able to see how it's being mandated right now, and it's a good resource, at least for what we have in the moment. And I think it doesn't mean that people from the Magdalene Islands don't know how to kill it, but like a young person like me, the first time I ever killed it, if I didn't have people around to teach me, it would have been it might have just killed me. The seal might have just like crushed me underneath it. I'm not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I have another question. Oh, sorry.
Good guidelines, I think, for the moment, and it doesn't mean it's just what it is.
Yeah. To close off with this little conversation we have with that question, I don't have to catch them like that. I don't need to follow the regulations because I'm Inuk. I could deal with the animal that way we do in the north. But I learned the little saying, when in Rome, do as Rome. So therefore, even though it's not my tradition, I am following this in respect of all the seal hunters of the Gulf of the St. Laurent. So I just wanted to end it like that.
Thank you. There's one final question, and that, Yoanis, what is the name of the new tanning program that will be put into place, or does it have a name yet?
The tanning.
Yeah.
No, it's a project that we're talking about, but the program that makes study for natural tanning, it's called Ecophone Boreal. I can
Ah.
maybe write it. So
Oh, I see it here in the chat. You have a greetings from Ecophone Boreal.
yeah.
From Daniel Poisson.
Oh,
There we go. I'm going to thank you very, very much now for votre présentation. You have so many compliments here. I cannot believe how generous you are and how beautiful Reconceal is and how beautiful each of you are. And thank you so much for today and for opening us all into an incredible view of what reconciliation can be. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Bayan nami.